Hey everybody, welcome back to Bobby Likes It Spooky. I'm your host today, Bobby Torres. And I'm back, and obviously, as you can tell, I'm talking about Halloween this month. Every day leading up to Halloween ends, I'm going to release a new review with a new guest leading up to Halloween ends, discussing each film in this franchise, which is going to be exciting. So yes, get ready. It's going to be a ride talking about these films, and I'm just curious on all the guests I'm having on their opinions on each of these films because the Halloween franchise is a ride. It's a ride, and some people have favorites, even controversial favorites, I should say. I know I have a few of them myself, but we're not here to talk about that today. So welcome to day one, and no, I have to talk about the OG 1978 version, but I had to bring a special guest with me, my buddy Miguel Myers from My Horror Confessional Podcast. What's up, my buddy?
Hey Bobby, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. I am hugely honored to be your guest to talk about Halloween.
No, of course, I thought about you, even though I already told you this, but I thought about you when doing this because you're a huge Michael Myers fan. Like, even when I was on your podcast and we were talking about the Changeling, and we were talking afterwards, and you were showing me your collection and stuff like that. It was just, I'm jealous. It was great. But I had to bring you on because you're a huge Halloween fan like myself, and I had to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Halloween has been my in my life. It's I've told this story on my podcast a bunch of times. So um Halloween has been in my life. It's my second most oldest memory,
Hmm.
right? My first memory is just being in an apartment in Chicago, crawling around. But my second oldest memory is I'm sorry, is having a nightmare. Well, to me it's not a nightmare, but most people call it a nightmare, of like being in the house in Chicago, and we had an enclosed back porch, and I was running from the basement up the stairs to get to my house, and Michael Myers was behind me and just like chasing me, and it turned into like the infinity stairs. So no matter how many stairs I got up, I would never got up to the apartment, and I'm just looking back and seeing Michael Myers and hearing the music and all that, and that's like a cherished childhood memory for me. So yeah, it's been in my life as long as I can remember, and it's my favorite horror movie, favorite movie of all time. My office is decked out, and I got tattoos for it. My wife is lucky. I'm lucky enough to have a wife that understands my my obsession, and but yeah, that's what it is. It's an obsession.
Yes. And it's a great obsession, I must say.
Yeah, I'm basically Loomis
Oh, yeah.
because I've
Oh,
been
Dr.
chasing Michael
Loomis.
Myers since my childhood.
It's crazy how something that terrified us as a kid, when we get older, we fall in love with it, and we either become super obsessed with it, or we just run away from it, continuously run away from it. But we choose to become obsessed with it, and it's funny that you had this fear of Michael Myers, and now you're just like, I'm a Michael Myers fan. Here I am.
Yeah,
And I was the same way with Pennywise. Pennywise, Tim Curry's Pennywise, when I was younger, terrified me as a kid. And even to this day, when I watch Stephen King's It, I still get like goosebumps and I get creeped out. But it's still something about that movie that I just can't turn away from. I have to keep watching.
yeah,
And if I see like a NECA toy figure or a poster or something, I'm going to grab it. Even though it's something that terrified me, I'm going to get it. And people don't understand that, but I think it's just, I don't know, it's just something about it that I guess we just enjoy so much. Or maybe it's just a memory, like this terrified me. It was amazing. Probably don't want to ever go back to that moment when I was scared, but for nostalgia purposes, I'm gonna get it just because this is what terrified me as a kid, and I enjoy it now.
yeah. I think there's something in there about like possessing the thing that terrified you. So
Hmm.
like if I can surround myself or with Michael Myers figurines, comic books, whatever, posters, everything that I have here, like I possess a little part of that, and so the I am less terrified of it. It's
Yeah,
like you're afraid of the unknown. Well, I know this, so I'm not scared of it. You know?
exactly, exactly. Um, for again with it, I was there because you know that movie was a two-parter, and I never got to the second part. So I was terrified of the unknown because I didn't know how it end.
Okay.
So I didn't know if all the kids got killed. I didn't know if Pennywise lived on to see the day after the second movie because I never had seen it. And then
Yeah.
when I got older, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna grow some balls, bigger balls, and watch this damn movie. And I watched the second one, and I was disappointed because we got a damn spider at the end. So I said, I waited this whole entire time for him to turn into a giant spider. What? I was so annoyed. But
I mean, that's Stephen King's endings for you, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah. And it's a joke. Like even in the new It, like when he makes a cameo, he comes for I think Grown Up Bill, and he says something. And Grown Up Bill is an author, and Stephen King's character was just like, "Yeah, I read your book, but I hated the ending." So it was kind of like a joke because everybody hates Stephen King's
yeah,
ending.
yeah, yeah,
So it's funny
exactly,
that
exactly.
he was a part of that, which was funny. But yes, Halloween 1978. So I must say, I watched this movie when I was a kid. I watched a lot of horror movies as a kid, but this was one I was obsessed with. And I think I was allowed to watch this because it was really no blood in it. And I mean, yes, there was sex and it was a little bit of nudity, but it wasn't as consistent and it wasn't as much as some of the other horror movies that we've been getting like in the 80s and 90s. So I think I was allowed to watch this movie and get away watching this movie more than the others.
Mhm.
And it's funny that you said obsession because I remember I got this on VHS and I would literally go to bed watching this movie on repeat. Like it was on VHS. So I think the VCR player that I had, you were able to restart and kind of just go back again.
Yeah,
So I will wake up to Halloween playing in the middle of the night, Laurie falling down the
nice.
steps, and Michael chasing after her. And people thought something was wrong with me, but I don't know. I was just, again, I love the movie.
To me, people who like the horror community that I built for myself, like by following people like you and there's other like people of color, like content creators in the horror sphere, like these people are like the most well-adjusted people. And I don't know if it has to do with facing your fears all the time when watching these
Yeah.
movies, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We don't like stuff it down. We're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch Aliens for the 500th time. You know, like
Right.
it does something to you where it just I don't know. I either that or I've been very lucky in having friends who some good friends. But either way, yeah, I agree. Like it's horror. Watching a lot of horror just I don't know makes I think makes you a better person. Honestly,
Yeah. I think we're the best, honestly. Horror fans are amazing. I know, don't get me wrong, every community has their
yes.
like toxic people in it. But I will say, since doing YouTube and podcasting, I met so many dope ass, cool ass people and collabing with so many dope ass people like yourself. And it's like we're making friends and getting to know each other and some of the people that I met were just the most amazing people and the sweetest people. And it's like if I ever see y'all in person, I'm giving y'all the biggest hug, and we're going out for drinks and we're having fun, and it's just going to be amazing. So
Oh
I
yeah.
will say the horror community is has been a blessing on my part.
Exactly. You have
So
to cultivate your own community. So when you're following, like my friend Anthony Jerome, who was my co-host for my second season, um, he says that whenever an account follows him, before he follows back, he has to go through and make sure they're not posting racist shit, they're
yeah,
not posting shit against women or anything like that. And it's the truth. It's what you got to do because you don't want to like follow somebody blindly and then 2 days later you got a Trump post you gotta look at or some I don't mean to do politics on on your show, but like stuff like racist stuff and like stuff against women, stuff like that. So yeah, you have to kind of do that. You have to cultivate your own community.
yes. So do you remember the first time you watched this movie? Like the very first time?
No, I did. It
Yeah.
was I was so young. Like my brother was 9 years older than me, 8 years older than me, and this was in the '80s. And so like him and his friends would watch horror movies in the basement of our house. We lived in Chicago in a three flat, and he lived in my oldest brother took the whole third or basement, I should say, and he'd have friends over, and they'd watch horror movies, and they'd be smoking and all sorts of stuff, and I'm in the back, like looking over their shoulders or looking over the couch, trying to see what they're watching, and so it must have been then, because my earliest memory is of Michael Myers, so like I had him already in my mind.
Yeah.
So I don't remember how old I was, but I would say 3 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm similar to you. I don't remember my very first time watching this movie, but it had to be like very young. Because like you, it's like I feel like I was born with knowing Michael Myers in my head. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like I knew who he was before I remember anything else. So which is insane. So I had to probably watch this when I was very young. Um, but like I said, I enjoyed the movie a lot. I was allowed to watch this more than a lot of other movies just because it wasn't as violent.
Right, like, when you think about it, like, when we're talking about Halloween, it's not very bloody, as compared to even movies of that decade, of the '70s. I mean,
Hmm.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre also is another example of a classic horror movie that isn't that bloody and doesn't really it's more like the theater of the mind in which you can make up worse things in your mind than what the director or the screenwriter can show you, and that's kind of what happens here too. Is like you don't see a lot of blood. There's more like female nudity than
Yeah.
there is like blood in this movie. Now, obviously, with Halloween 2, they got to ramp it up for the sequels. Tons of blood in that one, but in the original, there's not that much blood. So yeah, I don't I have my neighbor Tim, who's been on my podcast. They have a child, they have a little kid. He's like 3 years old now, and like I have like Halloween tattoos, and I decorate with Halloween stuff, and like so Spencer's his name. He's like
Hmm.
really interested in spooky stuff now, and they're not going to show him, to each their own. Like parents are going to do what they want to do, right? But like I don't have a kid, so I don't know. But like I think it'd be okay to show maybe not at 3, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not the one to ask, right? Because I saw it at 3, right? But
Yeah.
I don't see
But
a
you turned out
problem.
fine. You're
I'm
great.
I'm
So
perf
yeah.
my therapist says I'm cool, so I'm good.
Yeah. I think it's look, we watched a lot of horror movies that we were maybe allowed to watch, and some movies that we weren't allowed to watch. Like I got away with watching again. Evil Dead 2 was the first horror movie I remember watching, and you know
Okay.
how bloody that movie is. And do you know there's a little bit of nudity in there? You just know it just that movie was just bonkers, and that was the first horror movie that scared me, and then one that I remember watching for the first time. So, and I'm fine. I think I'm
Yeah.
great. And Child's Play, I grew up watching that one too, and that traumatized me for a little bit, but I think it was what got me out of here the most.
To kind of put a cap on the thought from Halloween not being as bloody, it's more suspenseful. I feel
Yes.
it's just like John Carpenter. First of all, he's a master in general, but he's a master of suspense. Like he knows how to build dread and how to like we take the first half of the movie just building up these characters, building up Laurie, building up Annie, like getting us to care about these characters so that when they get attacked in the end. And I'm assuming if you're watching this review, you've seen Halloween,
I
so I'm
hope
not gonna worry
so.
about spoilers, right?
Right.
But like, yeah, like when we finally see them like Annie get killed in the end, it's like fuck, like something is like affecting me, and that's just master storytelling, master suspense, yeah. So
Yeah.
cinematography, like I have a friend named Zach Chapman. He's been on the show before, and he is like the worst person. I hate him. He his first movie he ever like Halloween movie he ever watched was Rob Zombie in the
Oh,
theater,
okay.
like Rob Zombie Halloween 1, and he liked that zombie that Michael Myers. Then he had never seen Halloween the original up until maybe like 2 years ago, and he kept telling
Wow.
me, "I want to watch it with you. I want to watch it with you." And I'm like, "I am not watching that with you because you're a troll. You like to talk shit about movies while you're watching it." I'm like, "This movie, I'm too precious about this movie. Some
Yeah.
movies I'm not precious about. I'm precious about this movie,
Yeah.
and I can't watch it with you because He ended up watching it maybe, like I said, 2 years ago, whatever, and he was texting me while he was watching it. It was like the middle of the day, like him and his wife were like on their phones, and they're like, "This movie sucks." I'm like, "Dude, he's you gotta like pay attention and like allow yourself to be like brought into the movie, you know." And I
That's
guess
how
like
all of us
nowadays audience doesn't really have the
their
patience for
attention.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially the younger generation, I should say. It's funny that you say that because my best friend is the same way. Me and like me and her are the same age. But I grew up with horror movies. She didn't. She didn't really start getting into horror movies until she was in high school. Um, so she don't like watching older films. She don't like watch anything from like the 70s, 80s, because none of that scares her. So I'm challenging her right now to watch those movies to see if at least one of those things will stick out to you, you know? I
Yeah.
said you have to like out all these movies that came out within those decades. You have to like one of them. You have to. Because she's more of, more recent horror movies like The Conjuring and, the Insidious movies. That's her type of movie. And
Yeah.
I get it. And I think she feels the same way about Halloween. She don't find the original scary. I think she prefers Rob Zombie over the OG because right. But the thing
Yeah.
is, like I get it because if you're not really a horror fan, if you're getting into it late and this is what you see first, and you see that this big guy is brutal, he's fucking people up in a different type of way, and then you go back to an older version of something, and it's not that same experience that you had with the newer one, you're gonna be like, oh well, the newer one is better because the old Michael wasn't doing all that. Like that's whack. I and it's like I get it because that's how they grew up, but my brain doesn't work that way. Like I grew up with old horror movies, so I don't know how that feel. I understand it, but I
Mm.
don't know how it feel. So when I go back and watch Rob Zombie's Halloween and compare it to this one, I'm just like, yeah, Michael Myers was brutal in that one, but like you said, Miguel, the suspense in this movie and just the lead up and just us getting to know these characters and Michael popping in and out here and there and kind of like just trolling around and just you being on the edge of your seat, like, all right, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? I'll take that anytime over just Michael bursting out of fucking walls and just doing this. It's just like, all right,
Yeah,
whatever.
there's
I'd rather
that's
the build up.
right. And that's the thing. It's like in Halloween, their OG, John Carpenter's Halloween, Michael could be literally anybody. He could be your neighbor. He could be your cousin. Like he's just a normal dude
Yeah,
who snaps for whatever reason. And if we're talking the original, we don't have the sister, thing yet. So we
yeah,
don't know that he's following her sister unless we're talking about the TV cut, which we can talk about later. But um, so the idea of just a random person killing you or coming after you is more terrifying to me than this wrestler dude, like
yeah.
this huge bulking guy. And it's like, it you can go to Friday the 13th for that. Like you
Yeah.
want that, like go to that series or something like that. But it's like imagine if they made a new Freddy movie and he wasn't like a normal sized guy in like a sweater, green and red sweater. Imagine if he was this big bulky dude. You'd be like, what the fuck is that about? Right? So it's the same way. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm not trying to gatekeep. I understand like people come through horror the way they do, and that's fine. That's awesome for me. My thing is you don't know where horror is going. You don't know what things are referencing if you never go back and find out where
Mhm.
it came from. You know,
Right.
so it's not necessarily that you're watching it to be scared. For me, it's more like watching it to be informed because I love the genre and I want to see where we came from. And so when I see a scene in a movie, I'm like, oh shit, I know what that's in reference to, you know?
Mhm.
And it's more like being a student of horror as a genre. And some people aren't like that. They just want to watch a movie and be entertained and be scared or whatever. And that's fine. It's a different kind of fandom than
Yeah.
the fandom that I have and that you have.
Yeah. You're so right. Again, my best friend said that out her mouth. She said, "I watch horror movies to be scared." She don't simply enjoy it because of how you and I enjoy it. Like when we like pull things out of horror movies and look at references and just when we look at this in the photography in horror movies and even like the music and just everything swelling and building and stuff, it adds to the experience where some people can just sit there and just like they just waiting for the jump scares. They're just waiting to just be frightened. And it's just
Yeah.
like, no, like, yeah, that's cool, that's fun. But no, movies are so much more than that. And I feel like that's just what Halloween gave. Halloween gave like you said, there's no blood in it really, but it gave those jump scares. It gave the suspense. It gave the creepiness. It gave like you just living your life. These girls are literally coming home from school, minding their life, talking about going on prom or whatever it was, the school dance the next day. Not really aware that somebody's like lurking around the corner trying to, kill them. Like Laurie sees it, but there's times when she's just like, all right, whatever, I'm tripping. But that's what's scary because you could just be simply minding your business, and all of a sudden somebody come out from your back seat and start choking you. You don't even know where that person came from. Why the fuck you choking me? What did I do? And I
Yeah.
think that's what's scary because in this movie here, there is no reason why Michael's doing that. The reason all he did was lay eyes on Laurie the moment she walked up those steps and dropped off the keys, and he set eyes on her and Tommy Doyle, and that was it. He was just stalking him. He was stalking Tommy. He was stalking Laurie and her friends.
Yeah.
There's even a moment in the TV cut that we're going to talk about later where it's not just Laurie that he's stalking.
Right.
So it's just I enjoy that so much more because it's building that, and it's like we don't know. And that's why I hated they added the sister storyline a little bit later because it made it less scary. And I think that's why they did the requels like 2018, so they can kind of cut all that shit out. Michael's not related to Laurie. The reason why um there's no reason why he's going after them. He's killing at random. And that's probably the main part in Halloween Kills as well. That's why after the whole fire scene, he's going to different people's houses and just killing them just because.
Mm.
That's what Michael does. He kills at random, and I think that's far more terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that they did that because when I was thinking back before 2018 came out, and I knew that they weren't continuing the sister storyline, and it was going its own, like the sixth storyline in the franchise. Um, when I realized they're doing it, I was going back and thinking about the franchise, and I was like, I always rode hard for Halloween as a series, as a franchise, but I was like, really, I love Michael. I love Halloween 1 and that character, and Halloween 2 as well because of, well, Halloween 2 not as much, but it was Halloween, and then everything else kind of like fell off right afterwards. It was like a drastic decline in the quality for me. And then so I was like, I don't really need the sister storyline. So when they
Yeah.
took it off, I was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. Because as we know, like Carpenter never wanted to have the storyline. He just didn't, he could not fathom any reason why he would be continuing to stalk her. So that's why he made the sister storyline. That's why when they were doing reshoots for Halloween 2 and the TV cut, they also threw in that sister scene.
Which is interesting because I seen it and I was going back and forth. So I mean we won't talk about it, but that sister part when he wrote on the door, I'm thinking like, well, did he just put sister because of Judith, or like he has some obsession with her still, even though he killed her, or is he talking about Laurie? Because I was a bit confused because I'm like, all right, Rob Zombie didn't. I said Rob Zombie, child. John Carpenter
Oh my
didn't.
gosh.
I'm sorry. John Carpenter didn't want, like you said, like he wanted Michael to kill at random. He didn't want that connection, and I
Right.
feel like that connection didn't come until he was making Halloween 2. So I said, well, with this TV cut, did they go back and do this in the midst of when they were doing Halloween 2, or was this just something that he just thought about because he was like, oh, if they're gonna do a continuation, then maybe I should make them related. Like I was a little confused by it because I'm like, well, is he talking about Judith or is he really talking about Laurie?
Right. And then when Dr. Loomis is in the car with Marion and she brings it up, why is he so confused? Like he should
Hmm.
already know that because Michael Myers wrote sister in the it was in the it was in the school, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So he should have been like, why was he confused about it? So yeah, the reshoots were there for the TV shot or for the
yeah,
TV version and all that stuff. But I do, like you said, I do prefer the non sister
yeah,
storyline. So
yeah. It makes it more scarier. It makes it more scarier.
yeah,
Um, so the opening of this film, I be all right. So I always get excited every time I hear the Halloween theme and just the orange, font that comes up with the jack o' lantern on the side, which is just amazing. Like I get super excited. That's why when I went to go see Halloween 2018 and they followed that same thing, I was
yes,
just like, okay, we're in it because again, I told you Rob Zombie's Halloween was my first Halloween experience, and they didn't do that.
right,
So seeing it 2018 was like going back to 1978 because they copied that same format. So I'm just like, I'm here. This is it. I'm excited. And I was just like, I was really just so giddy and I was the same way with Halloween Kills. I love that opening as well.
yeah.
But with this one here is an iconic opening. And then we get the whole chant with the kids singing, "Do you know it by heart?"
So you know what's funny?
Because you said it on your
Yes.
podcast.
So me and Anthony were supposed to do it at the same time, but I chickened out, or not chickened out, but like I messed it up and like I just kept him going and then I started the episode like that and he was like, "You motherfucker." So I don't have it by heart. No. I
Okay,
feel like a
okay.
bad fan because I don't remember it by heart.
Yeah,
And then there's like little scenes, little stuff that happens in the movie where I'm like, oh yeah, I forget about that. I'm like, you're
yeah,
supposed to be a fan. Like I always forget the address, like 45 Lampkin Lane. Like I
yeah,
forget that sometimes.
yeah, same.
So like I feel like if I were to go like into a Halloween trivia thing, I would not win and I would like destroy my life. But it's like I don't know, I just forget I don't like watch the movie like and just like super focused on it and try to remember everything. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned the address because I forgot about Lampkin Lane, and then I played Dead by Daylight, and when you go into Haddonfield and Dead by
My
Daylight,
heart, yes.
yes, they have. I'm like, and I'm like, what is name? Like, is that in the movie? And I'm like, oh shit, it is in the movie. I just wasn't paying attention. Like,
What
did
do
they
you
make
think
that
of
up?
what do you think about the new reskin or the updated Haddonfield map? Sorry, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to,
No, no,
but
no, it's fine. Like, the reason I did that because it's like I don't know how I feel about it because it's like
sorry.
I like the first one where it was like a blue tint throughout
Yeah,
the whole thing because I feel like that was Halloween because if you watch Halloween a movie, there's like a blue tint to it because it's supposed to represent the moonlight. They took that away in the new one and they obviously changed some things around. I like what they did, but at the same time, it's like I kind of prefer the old
same. Like it
one
doesn't
better.
feel like Haddonfield anymore to
It
me. Like
doesn't.
it's so big and spread out. Like now it just feels like a regular map with the Myers house on it.
Yeah.
I'm a big DVD guy fan, DVD player, Bobby. So we need to play together
We
next
need to
time.
play. Let's
Yes.
go.
Okay.
I
Cool.
haven't played because I know they released. I could take this out, but I know they released like Wesker from Resident Evil recently
Right.
and Ada Wong and stuff. I haven't played with them yet, but I play Dead by Daylight often, and
Okay,
it's a
because I
ride.
was trying to get Anthony Jerome into it, and we played together a little bit, and he liked it. So we got to click because my wife plays too. So we got
Yeah.
like a team, we got a squad already. So
Okay.
so yeah,
Okay. I'm
definitely let me know.
down.
I'm down.
So yes, Halloween, that beginning, Judith being killed, Michael Myers coming down, with the butcher knife. His parents are staring at him. They don't know what's going on. Get Michael Myers, and then we fast forward. I think 15 years later.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
When you think of Michael Myers, do you ever think of him as the clown 6-year version of Michael Myers?
No.
Me
Um.
me neither. I'm not a big clown guy. Like what it's whatever, but like
Yeah.
there's been like posters released with that or like bobblehead figures or
Yeah.
And I never want. I don't really care about that at all. Like, because I
Yeah,
don't ever picture him as a clown, but
yeah.
some people do. So
I
that's
get
why I
it's a
was.
part of it because it's a part of the movie because I mean that's how he was dressed and that's how
Yeah,
we that was our first image of Michael Myers in that clown costume. I
yeah,
get it. Um I would probably if I was to make any connection with the clown costume, it would be Jamie from Halloween 4 and 5, only
right.
because well, mostly 4, because that was her costume throughout the whole entire movie. Like every time you watch see her running from Michael Myers, she was in that clown outfit.
Yeah,
And obviously it's supposed to be a reference towards Michael Myers when he was wearing his clown outfit in the first movie. But the thing is, it was just so brief because after that we didn't see it again, and we didn't really care to see it again until Halloween 4.
mm,
So I don't really make the connection. The only connection I make is just the mask. I feel like he needs the mask to give him his power to kill. And it makes sense. Like he puts on the mask when he kills his sister. Um, in this movie here, fast forward into the end where Laurie takes the mask off. He's not worrying about going after Laurie at that point. He's worrying about putting his mask back on so he can go continue to go back after her. Because if he really didn't care about the mask, he would have left it off and still try to choke her ass out. But he
right.
didn't do that. He
Yeah,
kept it on. And Halloween Kills. Um, Same thing. When Judy Greer took his mask and left it right there, he had that epic moment where he was about to whoop everybody ass, and he took his mask on, and he needs his. That's like his protection, and that's his like his power. So I feel like that's given again. I don't know what's going on with Halloween ends, but the clown mask I think is what started it. He just needed that. Um, I guess I guess the mess, whatever mess he got, is his power. It's his powers, and that's what he needs to do his thing. Because when he's like who he is, I think that well, no, I can't say he doesn't kill because in Halloween 2018 he didn't have his mask, and he killed those journalists in the bathroom.
yeah.
He got his mask afterwards, but he still killed them
I think he's more comfortable
with his
wearing the
mask.
mask. Yeah, because it
Yeah,
puts a level of, I don't know, realism between himself and the kills that he's doing.
yeah.
Um, One of the things that I did like about Resurrection was that the beginning scene in the mental asylum or whatever, mental facility, whatever. And there's that one character who like really loves Michael Myers and is just or
Oh,
really loves serial killers and talks about Michael Aubrey Myers, but and
hmm,
then Michael gives him the mask. That
yeah,
was my. I was like, wow, that's so great. And then the rest of the movie was just downhill after
yeah.
that.
Yeah, after Michael gave him the weapon and stuff like that, I was just like, yeah,
What was
that's
the weapon,
just
right? Sorry, sorry.
yeah, it was like the knife. Like Michael's like, I'm done, so here's my knife, and then he just walks off, and
Yeah,
then we
but sorry to talk about that one, but yeah, I was just always curious about that because it never in my mind do I ever picture Michael Myers as a child in the clown costume. So that's why I was asking you.
yeah, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I like some of the art that, like you mentioned, like the art and stuff that, and I mean, again, I get it because that's part of Michael's personality. That's part of his aesthetic from the movie because he was a child. That's the only vision we got of him as a child is in that clown costume. So I
yeah.
mean, I get it, but it's not important to me.
Plus, I'm not
Um,
scared of a little kid. I'll punch a little kid in the face. I don't care.
oh
Like,
yeah, that little boy would have got yanked the hell up. Like, you
you know,
try to
pop,
stand me all you want.
got
Right,
mollywop.
exactly.
Well, that was also weird too. It's like when we're seeing that crane shot of his parents standing either side of him. I don't know if they were going for a freeze frame
Yeah,
because if it's a freeze frame, that makes sense. But obviously they weren't because you could still see
you can
like
still see on move.
the move. So
Yeah,
then they were just like standing there, and it's like, what's happening, Mama? Like you see your child with a big ass butcher knife or whatever, and you're not doing. You're just looking at him. It's like
yeah,
that's weird.
yeah. It is weird. I think it was supposed to be a freeze frame, and I think it just we didn't know where it began. You know what I mean? Like, cause I watched this movie again recently, and I'm just like, all right, this is the moment where they're supposed to be standing still, whatever. But you still see the mom, like she takes whatever, and she see her put her hands in her pocket or
Yes,
something like
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm just like, okay. And I think they started freezing a little too late when it was like the camera kept going back and back. I felt like it should have been more of a freeze frame, like soon as the mask came off, then they should have just like, or maybe it was just like a choice. John Carpenter was trying to be artsy,
it's
and
a
he was just like
stylistic choice for
a
sure. Yeah,
stylistic choice, yeah.
yeah.
And It's confusing, but yeah. But I enjoyed it. I enjoy it a lot. Then we fast forward to, I think 15 years later, and we get Loomis and Marion in the car, and he's kind of being rude to her because it's Dr. Loomis. Um,
Yeah.
I love Donald Pleasance. He's amazing. And his character only gets worse and worse in each Halloween movie. Like he starts to get more erratic each movie, and it's fucking funny to me. Um, but in this one, Michael attacks Nurse Marion after like Loomis go out to make a call in the middle of the rain. He jumps on top of the car, obviously, and breaks the fucking windshield, and she jumps
With the
out
wrench,
with a
with the
wrench.
wrench in his hand.
So if you guys don't know, if you look really close, when Michael smashes the window, you see a wrench on his hand, and that's how he smashes the window.
Yeah.
I never noticed that as a kid, but as I got older, I noticed it. And then on the commentary, they made it known, oh yeah, it was a wrench
Yeah.
there. So I'm like, okay.
But this
Which,
scene is terrifying, right?
oh
Like
yeah,
this is it's at night, it's raining. You see a bunch of mental patients just out in the middle in the field. Like, I'm not getting out of the car.
hell no.
Bobby, are you getting out of the car?
No, no.
No, right?
And the doors will be locked. Dr. Loomis, you can go out there, but like I'm locking my door. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but it wouldn't help because he smashed the window open. But
well, true, true.
Michael Myers is going to get in somehow. But that scene is truly terrifying. It's still like it's shot amazingly.
Yeah.
Like it feels terrifying. Yeah, a very very good scene.
Yeah, it's a very good scene, and um, I got the one of the newer versions. I think it was like the 4K version, and I watched that one recently, and they got like a 7.1 sound thing or whatever. And I have a sound bar. I don't have like a surround sound, but you can tell they added like a thunder track in there. Like they gave, well, I don't know if they added the thunder track, but they gave it a little bit more oomph. So the thunder track sounds very loud, and you can tell it was kind of refreshed compared to the rest of the audio in the movie.
Okay.
So I said, all right, this makes it a little bit more scarier because that thunder track just it had me shook. And
Yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
as many times I watched this movie, and when I watched the newer version, I was like, okay, I like this audio track. It's pretty dope. I like it.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I think I have the 4K version, but
Yeah.
they get me for every fucking new version of the movie. They got
Yes.
DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. Like,
Yeah. I didn't get the newest 4K Screen Factory though, because only like 2 years ago I got the Best Buy 4K version.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I said I'm not getting that Screen Factory version. Y'all keep y'all keep getting me. I literally got like every fucking copy of Halloween. And I said, you know
Same.
what? Unless there's like a drastic difference in this newer one, even though I do like the art, and I'll probably get it eventually when it's cheap, just
Yeah.
to have it as a collector. But like right now, no. Um, but yeah, I have too many copies, and I see, it must end right here until something comes up
They
that's better.
know that like people like you and I are just like gonna keep double dipping into the well and like I'm like I Best Buy. I think I had that same one that like cover
Yeah,
the new Halloween. I got that one. I got like VHS copies and all that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wait for the new trilogy box set,
yeah,
and maybe they'll do it even like bigger one because they
yeah.
have the old one from a couple
You
years
know it's
ago.
happening. You know it's
Yeah,
gonna come. So
yeah,
I'm happy you said that because I know that's gonna come. Once Halloween ends is out, that's gonna come out by itself, and then give it like a year where it's gonna be like you said, the new like
trilogy.
definitive, like you must have this box collection. It's just gonna be a lot, and I'm gonna give them my money for it. I'm gonna give them my money because
Especially if they do posters for it, because Arrow will be doing posters for shit like
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah, I will drop whatever you ask of me. Actually, don't. I hope nobody from Arrow hears this because I will literally drop a lot of money for that. So
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
Arrow, get it together. I mean, if you drop that version, I'll drop it for you. I
yeah.
mean, I just saying, like whoever does it first.
I mean, I'm a drop it to get some money in order to pay for it. So
I know that's right. um, so, but yeah, then we fast forward to Laurie and her meeting up with Tommy and all that stuff, and just setting the scene there, like it's new day. The sun is out, and it just this cool suburban town. Everybody just minding their business. Laurie minding her business. She's just doing what her father tells her. She's walking with Tommy to school. So it's just a regular, like a regular day. You're just doing your regular business, like how you and I would go to work, do a
Yeah.
regular routine, but not knowing that just the one thing that you do and somebody's setting their eyes on you and now they're out to get you for the rest of that day, which is like insane to me. Like I'm scared to make a move on my everyday thing and all of a sudden somebody is fixated on me just for me doing something that I normally do. So
Right, like Mr. Strode should have been the one dropping off that goddamn key,
just
then he would have
saying
attacked her, you know?
exactly. She would not had no part in this at all.
Yeah.
None at all. I mean the daddy probably would have got killed, but it's none of her business at that moment.
Yeah,
She's
I
in
don't know
school.
anything about him. He ain't smoking weed. I don't care about him.
Right. Um, so I'm not gonna go through the whole movie, but how do you feel about Laurie and Tommy and even Linda and Annie? Like I feel like um Deborah Hill, she obviously had a part with the script, and one of the things that she played a huge part in was the dialogue for the women, the
Mhm.
girls in this movie, which I enjoy. Now, I spoke with a lot of people that are fans of this movie, but they said if they was to take a lot of them said if they were to take certain things out, they would take the dialogue out because they don't care about any of the conversation that the girls are having. But I said that's what make the movie a little bit more better because
Right,
again, it's building relationships, it's building these characters, and like you said earlier, when something happens to them, you actually feel something for them. Because again, you go to the beginning of them just living their high school lives and talking about going to a dance and finding something to wear, stuff that we do every day when we're having conversations with our friends, not knowing that there's this killer out there to get them. And I feel like it's just is an important part of this movie, and that's what makes Halloween even much better. Like I understand people want a chase scene and kills right away and stuff, but I feel like it made the movie for me. I love the dialogue between the girls. I feel like they had a real relationship. I can't
right,
believe that these girls are friends in real life.
right. Like, first of all, like all respect to Deborah Hill. Like, rest in peace. Like, she's an amazing woman.
Yes.
She did so much for horror, like the horror community, for the horror genre. So she did so much for horror movies and like the early career of John Carpenter. It's John Carpenter and Deborah Hill right there. So I just want to do that, say that because I love Deborah Hill, and she wrote the first script for Halloween because Carpenter was out, directing something else, working on something else, and he came and then he not fixed it, but he turned it into, like, she wrote a rough draft and then he turned it into a script. That's right.
Yeah.
And then she actually, like you said, did the dialogue for them, and I think that it's amazing because it adds depth of character to these teenage girls.
Yeah.
Um, I don't, without their dialogue, they're just bodies
Yeah.
dropping later on in the movie. What do I care about? Like, yeah, I mean, I guess you should say you should care for human beings and all that, but we're talking about in a movie how usually how it's built up is you understand this character based on what you've learned from them, and yeah, I I can't say enough how much I liked her dialogue,
Yeah.
like because I'm mean to my friends, like I was talking about Zach and how much I hated him earlier. Like
Hmm.
they're mean to each other. Well, they tend to pick on Laurie. Laurie's really not the mean one. She's more like the shy, reserved
Yeah.
type. But Annie and oh my god, her name's uh,
Linda.
Linda, Linda
Hmm.
Vanderclock, right?
Yeah.
So Linda, like they're mean to her, but that's how friends are. Like the closer you are as friends, the meaner you are as friends, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, and it's like not
It's weird, but it's true. Like, because you're comfortable where you can
right.
be like that with your friends, Like, and I tell people that all the time. Like when I'm building friendships, I do have a shady side, but like in a good way. Like I like to play like that with my friends because I feel comfortable, and you can do the same to me. I'm not that sensitive. Like I'm sensitive to a degree, but like as long as you're not disrespecting me, like that's fine. Like you could come at certain things or you can say like funny things about me and I'll do the same thing. I feel like that's
Yeah.
part of what friends are. That's part of friendship. So you're right.
Yeah, that's what we get to see here. We get to see how close they are.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I I identify with Annie more just because I am that person. Like I'm not an asshole, but I am that person that do like fuck with my friends. Like if you carrying a whole
Yeah,
bunch of books, like oh, you're a fucking nerd. Like who? Like you know what I mean? Like I'm that person, but they know that's how I am, and there's a reason why Laurie is hanging with these girls because I'm pretty sure if they were assholes, like she wouldn't be hanging with them. But obviously they're not always mean to her. You know,
right,
they relate with each other, and it's crazy because I feel like we're building more on top of their relationships, but it just seems like we kind of know them because that's what the dialogue is, you know? Like we see them walking around talking about, oh, Paul did this to me, and now he's doing this, and I'm mad because blah 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 blah. And then we got to go, get outfits for tomorrow, whatever. And then a little later on, when Andy picks up Laurie, they talking about Ben Tramer. It just again, it's just stuff that it's just they're having regular conversation like you and I would have if me and you were like that. If we were cool and we're
right.
sitting in the car and you're not knowing that this killer's behind you. If you watch that scene when they're in the car, Michael Myers is fucking following them. They don't know
Yes,
that. They're minding their business. You
yeah.
know,
They're
like
they're they're too busy smoking. They're smoking
right.
and like talking shit. But that's the thing. Like, there's always a line. Like, if you can't
Yes.
cross that line, but anything before that line is open. And then also, you can fuck. I can fuck with my friend, but they can't fuck with my friend.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
like with your sibling. You can
Hmm.
fuck with them. You can make fun of them all the time, but don't say shit about my brother or my sister. That's like, don't do it. So it
Yeah.
just shows how close they are. And I've heard people say like they're so mean to her. I'm like, yeah, but that's their relationship, you
Yeah.
know. And she obviously is, not that she's okay with it, but like she's used to it, and she gives it back a little bit, not as
Yeah.
much, but
Yeah. That's just
she
her
doesn't get stepped on.
personality. That's her
Yeah.
personality, and I feel like they maybe even each other out. They balance each other out. Like I feel like Annie's probably the meanest one. Linda is like mid,
Yeah.
and Laurie's just like she can probably be mean when she wants to. If they really push her, she can throw a little shade here and there.
My
But
my
it's just
sorry to interrupt. My
no,
favorite
no,
line is how does it go? I forget what leads up to it, but Laurie says shit, and then Linda says,
I
"I
have a
have a
place
place for that."
for that.
So do you remember the line before that? I don't remember exactly the line before
She's
that.
like, I think Laurie said something about I forgot because they were talking
Yeah.
and damn, now I'm drawing the blank.
Yeah, no,
And I
but
know
but
this.
but that's by that,
Yeah.
and then obviously, like, totally,
Oh yeah.
totally.
Oh yeah. Linda's favorite line, totally. I forgot. I should have counted how many times she said totally in this movie. She
Yeah,
said totally so much. When I was younger, I used to call her like the totally girl because that's all she kept saying was totally.
yeah,
Um, but yes, like even in some of the lines on your "Hey jerk, speed kills," I still say that sometimes.
yes.
There's a line where I forgot what Laurie says, but Linda says, "It's your own fault, and I don't feel a bit sorry for you." I use that line from high school, even to this day. I still say that.
Yeah.
If I know somebody's fault on one of my friends, I'm like, "It's your own fault, and I don't feel a bit sorry for you." Only true horror fans will get that. Well, Halloween fans. So
Yeah,
I even quote lines from this movie because a lot of them are super quotable, which is great. And yeah, they're mean to Laurie, but they're not like mean. Like they're not like Heather's mean or like Mean Girls mean or any of that.
right.
They're just, they know Laurie probably scared easy. They know that she's that type of person, so they play jokes on her. Like when Andy calls Laurie when she gets in the house and she's chewing on the fucking phone,
Yeah.
and Laurie gets spooked out by that because she just seen Michael Myers outside her window, and now there's a phone call with somebody chewing in your ear. I probably wouldn't get scared by that because it just sounds like somebody's chewing.
Yeah.
But like if it was just like breathing or something, then I'd be like, hold the fuck up.
Now you're hearing obscene chewing.
You're losing it, Lori.
Yeah. I
So
love it. I love the dialogue. I think it's perfectly placed.
yeah. And it was another one that she said too when they were like when it's just Annie and Lori and she see Michael go behind the hedge bush and Andy was just like, oh, look, she would start marching over there, and she said something to Laurie like, oh, he wants to take you out on a date, and then she was like, you're losing it, Laurie, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Damn, help me out, Miguel. She said something about, um,
Oh, Laurie, come over. Oh, yeah, I'm struggling to remember that one.
oh,
He wants to take you out.
yeah,
Nah, I don't remember.
damn,
I don't
oh,
remember
I
that.
forgot because she
This is
said
embarrassing.
something.
Give me your Halloween fan card. Give
Yeah,
it.
I think
See,
we're both getting our fair car
this
remote.
is what I'm terrified about. Like, I'm terrified of like saying like Halloween is like my number one movie ever, and then like not knowing the dialogue 100%.
Right, right.
It happens.
She said something about just she said something about something something something. Then now you're seeing men behind bushes, something like that. I don't know, but it was just during that scene. Guys,
Yeah.
forgive me. I am a Halloween fan. I just can't think of it right now.
Nah,
Any other time I
faker. He's
would.
faking it. He's
I'm
faking
not a
it.
poser. I promise. But yes, the dialogue and just the chemistry with the girls, their relationships are really, really great and is believable. And I feel like more horror movies should start doing that. I don't mind dialogue between characters because, like we said earlier, it just builds more character development and it just adds to it and it just makes the movies a little bit more interesting. So I think more movies should start doing that rather than just focusing on getting to the action right away. Because, like you said earlier, like if you just want to see bodies, then go watch a Friday the 13th film because they're literally there just to get killed. There's no
Yeah.
character development with any of those characters. So watch Friday the 13th. That's what that's for.
Yeah.
Halloween is a little bit different.
Agreed.
Um. So yes. So we got that. So can we talk about like this? The way this movie looks because I love all the choices that they made. Now, I do remember when I first got this movie on VHS, and I got like it was an early DVD that came out in the early aughts, early 2000s, and I do remember those copies having like an orange tint to them. But now, with I think this version right here, the 35th anniversary, when that one came out, it was a new approved Dean Cundy because he was the cinematographer
Yeah.
for the movie and they redid it, and now it's more of a cool filter over the movie, and which is
Which
amazing.
version was that? Sorry. What?
All the versions that's pretty much out now, and but what the very first version of that was the 35th anniversary one. This one,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
so this one started it, and every copy that you get after this one is like a blue, like cool filter over it. If you
Okay.
really pay attention,
For
like the
the
scenes,
night shots.
the night shots, the whole movie. Like when Laurie's walking down the street, because even with her friends, when you watch it, the earlier versions, it just was a warm filter. It was like an orange tint to it. But
Uh-huh.
when we watch it, it's like a blue tint. And Dean
Okay.
Cundy changed it because he said, "I want it to feel like October because when fall comes and it's getting closer to winter, and normally, and then also the nights come a lot earlier.
Okay.
So it's more of like you see that in your everyday life, like it's like a blue fucking tent
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where in the summertime is more of orange because it's the days are a little bit longer, the sun is out a little bit longer. So and they filmed this movie in the springtime. So that's why it looked that way naturally. So they went back and redid it. And now when you watch like the newer versions, like the newer copies, it's like a blue tint on there. And watch it. It's on YouTube too. They got like the comparisons and everything.
You're blowing my mind because I had no idea about this. So like,
Yeah.
I have
Hmm.
copies before the 35th anniversary. So or I can probably just YouTube it, like you said. I have to
Yeah.
look at this, yeah, because
Yeah, look at
I
it.
didn't realize that they did that
Yeah.
because
I know. No,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was just say because it is shot amazingly well. Dean Cundy did an amazing job as a cinematographer, and he went on to have an amazing career. Like he did
Yes.
like Jurassic Park and just a bunch
Hmm.
of other stuff. Um, and he even directed a few, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, it's shot beautifully. Like it's lit wonderfully. Like lighting. So first of all, music is like another character in this movie,
Oh,
and
yes.
so is lighting. Like the lighting of this movie, like is phenomenal. Like my favorite scene is obviously the reveal when he comes up behind Laurie, and
In the
you know
dark.
that, yeah, yeah, in the dark, and you just see his face show up. Like
Yeah.
amazing shot. And that's been done before because I've been doing research or watching older movies. I know that that's been done before, but
Hmm.
still, I still love that shot. And it was used to perfection. It had been done before, but I think it was perfected here.
Yeah.
And also, like the shot of when Tommy is looking at the house from across the street, and
Yes.
like all you see is Michael Myers like
And
carrying Annie into the house
yes.
and all that. And it's like you can barely see it, just looks like shadows, but you know
Hmm.
like absolutely amazing. Like
Yes.
another director might have shot it completely in light so you can see Michael Myers, but here like it's almost shadowy,
Hmm.
and all you do is see the shape, right? Like
I was
the
just about to
shape.
say that. That's
Yeah,
why he's called the shape.
yeah.
Hmm.
And and he was referenced as a shape in the script and all that. So it's yeah. I mean, like tons of things had to go right for this movie to be as fucking
Yeah.
phenomenal as it is. You know.
And I think that's why we appreciate this movie a lot more too, because I think, like you said, like we said earlier, like casual viewers don't appreciate things like that. Like they're not going to look at that scene and be like, "Oh, that's a cool, dope ass shot." They just seeing Michael Myers carry a body into the damn house, and that's really it.
Yeah.
But just watching, and not even just that scene, when Tommy first looks out and you just see Michael standing there with the
Oh
house
my
right there, and he's just
god,
looking across the street. You don't even see, it's again the shape. That's all you see.
Bobby,
Fucking terrifying.
Bobby.
Fucking terrifying.
If you right now, well, I know when it's night tonight, and you look out your window and you see somebody staring at you,
Nope.
like first of all, chills. Second of all,
Chills.
like I'm probably gonna go confront him with a bat or something. Like, get the fuck out of here! Like, why are you here? But it's so fucking creepy. It's
Yeah.
so creepy and it's
So
handled so
creepy.
well.
Right.
Um,
Ugh, why
yeah.
did you say that? Now I'm scared. But no, that's what I like. Like I when I watch movies, I put myself in situations. I'm fully immersed. So you're right. Like if I see something like that, especially as a kid, and you're just looking out your window and you see something like that, that is nightmare fuel right there.
Yes.
I would just get terrified just of that, and especially Tommy already has in his head the boogeyman. The boogeyman's coming to get me. It's Halloween, and so you seeing that makes it even worse. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that shot was amazing. I wish people appreciated it more. I actually a long time ago, I had a phone called the Nexus 6P. It was like an Android device,
Mhm.
and I got like a custom cover, and I literally took the picture, that scene of Michael just standing with the house, and put it on the back of like made it my phone case. I paid like 30 something
Nice.
dollars for it, but it was worth
Yeah. Hell
it.
yeah. That's great.
I miss it. But I love that shot so much. It's just creepy and you just see the leaves just blowing. It's just fucking perfection. Ugh! I love it.
It really is like um it it makes you like this movie. I know they shot it in California. I know they shot it in spring, but even with that, this feels like fall,
Yes.
because they had the fake leaves that they would throw out,
Mhm.
and yeah, you maybe see palm trees in the back, but not if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't see it.
Exactly.
But like this movie feels like fall, and then the night is so dark. Like I grew up in Chicago, and it would get dark in the fall, like at 4:30 or 4 o'clock. Gets and so for the majority of your time was in dark. You had like
Mhm.
the majority of your day was in the dark.
Dark, yeah.
And so it's just so creepy.
It is, it is.
It's yeah, it's handled perfectly.
That's why I
Y-
love, I live in Philadelphia, so obviously, the closer we get to the wintertime, the darker, like the earlier it starts to get dark.
Yeah.
Especially when daylight saving time come. Like that's when we lose that hour.
Yes.
There you go. It gets dark 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm just like, what the hell's happening? It's like the sun is going down, and I remember, and it just takes me back because as a kid, like going trick or treating and stuff. Daylight saving time used to fall on like the day before Halloween. It used to be October 30th, and literally we would go into Halloween with just like it being nighttime at fucking
Pitch
five,
black.
pitch black, and we were able to go trick or treat. It was just amazing. Now we get daylight saving time like November or something,
Mhm.
which sucks, but
Yeah.
whatever. But it was amazing, and I missed it. But what they use in this movie here, though, with the tools that they use just to use the darkness, um, for the scare scenes is dope. Like for instance, the scene, like you said, when Laurie's upstairs and she discovers all her dead friends, and that moment when Michael just appears out of the fucking darkness,
Yeah.
terrifying. Even just him standing at the top of the steps after she falls down, and he goes around and stands like right there,
Yeah.
terrifying. Like I just don't get how people don't think that's like not scary. Like it's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Um,
I think, if you started watching movies post Saw, it's like you're working against, not, I don't know. It's just like, I could understand how if you started watching movies with Saw and then you go back and you're like, this isn't scary. People, their jaws aren't being unhinged by machines and all of
yeah,
that.
they
It's
want the gore. They want
Yeah.
all of that
I
stuff. But
consider myself lucky having
yeah,
grown up in the 80s and being able to enjoy this sort of stuff.
yeah, exactly. While we're on the subject of, well, all right, before I go into Michael Myers, the
Yeah.
music, can we just talk about the music? All right, I'm a huge fan. I think this is what made me a fan of scores and horror films in
Mhm.
general.
Yeah.
The way that they utilized John Carpenter's score in this movie was just chef's kiss. I like it's iconic when you hear the Halloween theme. You know exactly like who it belongs to. Michael Myers. You know John Carpenter stuff. Like it's fucking amazing. Even the Laurie's theme is like just memorable. Like you hear that. Even I feel like people that's not really Halloween fans, if they hear that, they know that's a Halloween. It's to the Halloween soundtrack. Like this whole soundtrack is just so good.
Hey Bobby, if you're working on a generator in DVD and all of a sudden you hear the Halloween music, you're like, no, one shot
Right.
down.
Yeah, that's the thing too. You hear that theme when you know
Once
Michael's, yeah,
tier 3 Michael is terrifying.
yeah. He
Um,
gets you down in one hit, that's it.
yeah. Yeah, the score, I mean, everybody knows, or if you don't know, or not you, I'm sure you know, but like other people who are listening who don't know, like the score, um, John Carpenter did the score as well, but he showed a bunch of people, like executives, the movie without the score, and they laughed at it. They're like, "What is this? This isn't scary at all." Then he went back, did the score, put it on the movie, and showed them again, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, this
Yeah,
movie is terrifying." And so, yeah, again, the music is a character in its own right in this movie.
yeah.
It's so good and it's so simple.
Hmm.
I'm not a musician, so I don't know a lot about music and all that, but it's like a very simple. Yeah, I've heard him tell the story a lot, where it's like a very simple, like 1-2 sort of thing, but it's supposed to be on a different musical instrument, but he took it and put it on the piano and it
Hmm.
made it sound like discordant and all that sort of stuff. And he made the score very quickly, and it's yeah, it's amazing.
It
I hear
works.
it in my dreams.
Yeah.
I love it. And then I'm a fan also, like when like um, a musician or a band will take that score and make a song to it.
Oh yeah.
So like when I was growing up listening to like Dirty South music, like No Limit and Cash Money, and
Yeah.
Juvenile on his first album has a song that has that beat and it goes so hard. And I fucking love it. To this
Okay.
day, I'll listen to
I
that shit all
missed
the time.
that. I did not hear that, and I'm surprised. But okay.
I'll tell you the song. I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but I'll
Yeah.
let you know.
Yeah. Let me know. All right. So I'm not a huge like rock person. There's a few songs that I do like and a few artists I do like. But somebody put me onto Ice Nine Kills, yeah, and
Yes,
they
yes,
got I think their song was called like Slashing in the Dark, and obviously is a reference to towards Halloween. And at
yeah,
the very end of that song, they play like the Michael Stock and Laurie, but their version of it. So
yeah.
I always get so hyped at that very end of that track. And it's
I really like
uh
them. I really like Ice Nine Kills.
yeah, they're
I
great.
I am so bummed that I didn't see Carpenter live when he was doing his
Same.
Lost theme tour. I
Yeah.
really hope he comes back. I'm in Austin. I hope he comes back to Austin. If he goes anywhere in Texas, I'm going. I don't care.
Yeah. Go.
Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, whatever.
He's
I'm
still
gonna go.
working too, man. Like he's still like he did the soundtrack for the newer Halloween films, and like
Yeah,
he's doing soundtracks for other films. Like he's still working. So I hope he does after Halloween ends. Hopefully next year he'll go on tour and just kind of just do all his work all over again. 'Cause I know he's about his coin, so I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
yeah.
that
He
he'll it.
is. He Pay
Yeah.
me and I'll do it. What the fuck?
Exactly. Like he talks shit about the he don't even talk shit about the Halloween sequels. He's like, look, I don't care. I'm getting paid for it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
So
okay.
let me ask you: do you just? I'll ride around. I'll put the Halloween soundtrack on Spotify. I'll just ride around on that bitch and just
Yeah.
listen to it. Like,
I listened to it right before I got on here with you, just because it got
hell
me
yeah,
set
just
for
get
this.
yourself amped up. Hell yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
exactly. Exactly. Even with his newer like the newer projects that he's been doing for Halloween 2018 and Kills, him and his son, like they've been killing it. Like them taking the old John Carpenter scores and just making it fresh and new for the newer movies. It's great.
I like it, but it's a little bit too much. Wah,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
wah. I was like,
Wah.
okay,
That
no,
is
but I like
true.
it. Yeah. Him and his
Especially in
stepson Cody.
2018, there's a lot of
Yeah.
that. But my favorite track on 2018 is I guess I don't know if it's like Allison when she's like running from pretty much nobody, even though she's running from Michael Myers, but she's really running from nobody because he wasn't even chasing her. But you
Yeah.
know the scene I'm talking about after she
She's in
see
the
Oscar
woods.
did,
Yeah.
yeah, and she no, it's the part when she see Oscar did on the gate, her
Okay,
friend
and
after,
she's
yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
and then she's like running down the street, and then she like screaming or whatever. That track is fucking dope, but it was underutilized because it would have been great if Michael was chasing her actually in that scene, but for
Yeah.
her to just be running and nothing's happening, it was a wasted track.
He's like,
So
Michael's looking at her like, "What the fuck is this bitch going?" Like,
right, like okay, I'm not all right. I'm
yeah,
going this way. You going that way. Even when she's running through the woods, it's like Michael's like going the opposite way, and she's
yeah.
screaming in the woods, looking at mannequins and getting freaked out by that. Like just okay, didn't make. Oh, I guess it made sense for her, but it was just weird.
But at the same time, like, if I see Michael Myers, I'm running. I'm not gonna run for a
True.
very long time because I'm out of shape, but I'm running. I'm gonna
Yeah,
Forrest Gump that shit.
I know that's right.
But
Just Jack.
I was
I
gonna
don't care if
say
you chase
that
me or not.
yeah, I was gonna say I have this every soundtrack on vinyl, like every movie sound, except for the Rob Zombie ones.
Yeah.
But like I have them all on vinyl. And for Halloween Kills last year, we went to go see it in the theater at the Draft House, and they had it was really cool. Like day of, they had like Halloween Kills Myers masks for everybody for free. And
Oh
yeah,
shit!
I took a picture, I put it on my Instagram,
What?
and they were also giving away like the soundtrack to the movie to Halloween Kills, and they were just
I'm
like,
jelly.
I actually ended up winning it. So they told everybody like anybody can go up. So like me and like 7 people went up there, and then they're like, "How are we gonna do it?" And I was like, "We should do it by the number of Halloween tattoos." And he's like, "All right, who's got the most Halloween tattoos?" And I got
Cheater, you knew that you was gonna be out here.
I
You
set myself
knew
up for
it.
it.
Yes.
Hey,
That's
so
smart though. I would do the same shit.
I think I had three or four. I'm not remember. Yeah, but he's like, "Who's got one?" And then I was like, "I got four." So he ended up giving it to me, and I ended up winning. So I was like, "Hell yeah!" So
Yes.
I set myself up for that one. But that's to say that I love the music. The music is like, I'll like you said, I'll just throw it on whenever.
Yeah, the music is great. It's again the scenes where Laurie's discovering her friends, where you get that that like that moment.
Yeah,
Just I can't explain it because I'm not a musician. Like you said, like I don't know, but fans know when Michael be popping up behind cars and shit, and then you hear that fucking
ding. Yeah,
yeah,
the musical sting. Yeah,
yeah, it's great.
yeah,
So the soundtrack to this whole entire movie is just like you said, it's an entity of his own. It's his own character. Um, Now the shape. I want to talk about the shape,
All
Mr.
right.
Michael Myers himself. So we all know that this mask is made from what is it? Is it from Star
William
Trek?
Shatner.
William Shatner. And I'm so happy because originally they were going to go with a clown mask.
Right.
But when they start pulling, the eyebrows off and painting a mask and just doing little touches on it, they had something. It's like this movie was made to happen. Like it was made to be this way for a reason. Because if they went with a clown mask and we had the same movie, it would have been goofy to
It
me. Like
it wouldn't have. Yeah, I don't know if it would have gotten. It would have still been good, right? Because you don't remove the direction and the acting and the music
yeah,
with just masks, but it would have been different. But I don't think it would have hit the same because there's something about that blank, like Loomis says, like blank, expressionless
expressionless
face,
face.
the darkest eyes, the devil's
The
eyes.
devil's eyes.
Yeah, like there's something to that, and you know, yeah, I just the mask itself, you can project anything you want onto Michael
I'm
Myers'
saying,
face. Yeah,
yes,
so
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And that mask, first mask will always be the best mask. Even if they try to replicate it, which they tried many, 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 many times, it never turned out the way this mask right here looks,
right,
right
yeah.
above you. So it's just,
Mm,
no matter what they do, it looks like fucking, like it's terrifying. And it's like the little bit of things, like the hair. The hair is kind of like you got little pieces sticking up, and just it's fucking terrifying. And what helps too is you don't see the eyes. It's just blackness, like
mm,
what Loomis said, which adds to Michael Myers, aka the Shape. Loomis's dialogue and him talking about Michael Myers from a kid to an adult, like how he is and the reason why. Well, not the reason how he is, but what he went through with him as a kid, and he never expressed himself, and he's like this evil person and stuff. It made Michael Myers much more scarier because just hearing Dr. Loomis talk about it is just like this is nothing to be fucked with. Like I don't know if Dr. Loomis is crazy or not, but if he's a doctor and he spent that much time with him, so obviously the Shape is like, but obviously Michael Myers is just like out of, just out of this fucking world, crazy, cuckoo bananas. So he makes it more scarier,
yeah,
and then to go back to just the Shape as as a whole, Nick Castle. Listen, Nick Castle, I'm so happy that this man is still alive. I'm so happy that mostly everybody that was a part of this damn movie is still alive. Rest in peace, Deborah Hill,
yes,
though. But like, and Nick Castle still got part of the new Halloween. Like he does like the breathing for the new
mm,
Michael Myers, which is great. Give him, his props. But him portraying Michael Myers, the way he walk, the way he just stands there, the way he moves, it just, and it's crazy because I remember John, like I was watching like a commentary and John Carpenter was just saying like, yeah, I just told him to walk. That was it.
yeah. He
I
had
didn't
no
tell him to do
direction.
anything. No direction. I just told him to walk. And the way Nick Castle walked, the way when after Laurie, like, they have that final confrontation at the top of the inside the room in the closet, and she stabs him and she's like crying. She tells the kids to go to the neighbors or whatever. And Michael Myers is laying behind her and she's just sitting there, and the way he just rises the fuck up and then turns his head and look, what? Like that was scary. And then even when he gets up, like how he gets up was just scary.
Yeah.
Like it's just, bro,
Did you ever watch like WWE wrestling? Like,
not much.
okay, but I growing up, I haven't in forever, like since after 2000 or whatever. But growing up, The Undertaker,
I know the Undertaker.
yeah,
I do
he
know
did
that.
that move. He did the move where he would be on his back and then like knocked out or whatever, and the other wrestler thinks he's out or whatever, and he just sits up real quick and like looks.
I love
It was
that.
one of his moves, and I fucking loved him for it.
Yes.
Um, yeah, shoot, I was gonna say something else, but it lost my mind, lost my
No,
track
it's
of trip.
cool. Yeah, Nick Castle as the Shape
Oh,
is, yeah.
what I was gonna say with Nick Castle, it's a shame to me that he didn't get to be Myers with the mask off at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" It's Tony Moran, I think, was the guy who
Yeah.
has the who actually you see his face. I was like, "Well, I don't remember whatever happened to lead up to that. Maybe he wasn't there on set that day or whatever." But
Well, they said that this is not word for word. It went along the lines of saying that Nick Castle was too attractive, and they wanted somebody with a little bit more um, a creepiness to them, and they
Okay.
said that Nick Castle looked too sweet, where Tony
Uh,
Moran looked a little bit creepy, and they felt like he was perfect for it, especially when they added that eye prosthetic after
yeah.
he got poked. So they went with that. I said, well,
Okay.
if you did the same thing to, if you gave him the eye and maybe dirty him up a little bit, I'm pretty sure Nick Castle can look creepy
Yeah.
too.
But you know what's so funny is that eye prosthetic. I didn't realize maybe for the first 10 years, like maybe until my
I know what
late
you're gonna say. You thought his eye
until
was always like that. You didn't thought that
yeah,
was saying.
into like my late teens, early 20s, where I'm like, wait a minute, his eyes like that because of the
Hmm.
hanger that went in there. I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. But that's also cool because like he's not infallible, he's not invincible. He can be, at least we're talking about part one. He can be hurt,
Yeah,
and that's. I just thought that's another part of the storytelling that's just like
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I agree. Like he can be hurt. Like Laurie stabbed him. I think like what once or twice, and then she did the whole hanger thing. And even Dr. Loomis, when he came up, after time, he was like, oh no, 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 no. That was after, I mean, before. Well, yeah, that was before the whole hanger thing. When Tom was like, you can't kill the boogeyman. That's when he came up the step. So he got stabbed the first time by Laurie when they were downstairs. After like she had that
In the
epic
neck.
chase scene. Yeah, he was stabbed in the neck with the knitting needle.
Mm.
And then upstairs, Can't Kill a Boogeyman. That's when he's, started chasing her, going inside the closet, and he breaks in. She gets his knife. No, she pokes him in the eye with the hanger, and then she gets the knife, stabs him, and then like he falls down to the ground, and she drops it, which I never agreed with. She should have hold on to it, but I understand that's probably part of Laurie's character. She's not, she's probably not into weapons and stuff. But girl, your life is in danger. You need to hold on to that fucking knife.
You in danger, girl.
You in danger, girl. Laurie, you in danger, girl. And then also, what I didn't like was after she told the kids to like, she gets them out the room and she told them to go and go to the neighbors and stuff. She has her back turned. My eyes would have been facing towards them to make sure nothing ain't happening, or better yet, I would have went out with the kids. you
Yeah.
know, but it wouldn't. If that would have happened, we wouldn't got that again. That amazing scene where he rises up and try to choke her out, and she grabs the mask off, and then you see Tony Moran as Michael Myers, and then Dr. Loomis comes up and then shoot him 6 times, and he's knocked off the balcony, and then we get the amazing quote: "What's that? The boogeyman." In fact, that was the
Yeah.
boogeyman. So
Um, one thing that shit, I'm like losing my thread here. I'm going crazy. Um, Disregard. Please
no, it's all
disregard.
good.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, it's all good. But yeah, like just again, that whole ending. Again, going back to Nick Castle, I think he did such a fucking dope job as just Michael Myers overall.
I remember now what I was going to say.
Yeah,
I'm a Laurie Strode apologist a little bit because I'll say like, and I've said this before. She is a high school teenage girl in the suburbs. She's never experienced anything like this, right?
yeah,
So the
true.
first time when Michael attacks her and she gets him with the sewing needle in the neck, and then
Hmm.
he drops a knife, and that's when she no, 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 he doesn't drop that. Sorry, just gets him in there with the sewing needle. Wait, does she stab him there?
She
No,
just
it's just
stabs him. She just stabs him. He does drop the knife, but she doesn't touch it.
she doesn't touch it,
So
right? Okay,
yeah, she goes running up the
but she
stairs.
goes upstairs, and then when she stabs him in the closet,
Hmm.
like she has no concept for somebody coming back to life or whatever. I don't know.
True.
She's just like you're seeing like people seeing this movie have been seeing tons of horror movies or whatever. Like this is a girl who's never seen a horror, doesn't see a lot of horror movies. She's a teenager. It's just not in her mind to think that she's going to continue to get attacked.
Right.
So, well, yeah, we're like keep the knife, but at the same time, it's like it's understandable for the character.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. again, because we know that her character is, like you said, like she haven't experienced anything like this before. She's just, your everyday girl next door character. And maybe she's the type of person that doesn't like violence, you know what I mean? And unfortunately she's a part of that now.
Yeah,
And she wants no part of it. Because even when she throws the knife, she throws it like, ew,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
why,
Yeah,
yeah, like, why touch this? So I mean, I totally get it. I totally get it. Um, but the turning the back part, I don't get. I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes,
I don't
100%.
get that part. You should be at least keep your eyes just in case, or just leave out the house or go out with the kids.
Yeah,
But
especially because this dude is like tricky, like he
yeah,
finds his way into houses and he's in the shadows and all that sort of
hmm,
stuff. Keep your eyes on him for sure.
yeah,
I agree.
100%, 100 fucking percent. Um, but yeah, that's Halloween. Like, I love this movie so much. Like we already talked about it in the beginning of this episode, how much we loved it. But I want to know, is Laurie? I'm gonna ask pretty much everybody this, but Laurie as your final girl, because I feel like Laurie, when you think of final girl, everybody thinks of Laurie Strode. Now, there's other final girls. We have, Nancy Thomas from Nightmare on Elm Street. We have Sydney Prescott, Scream, and we have some contenders that's still trying to make it there, even with these newer horror movies. We
Yeah.
got Kirsty from Hellraiser, which is one of my faves. I love her a lot. But do you consider Laurie Strode like that top final girl?
She's and we're just talking about Halloween one, right? They're just this.
I would say everything that you know from Laurie, from H2O, Resurrection, even though those are not connected to the newer
Yeah,
movies,
yeah.
but just Laurie Strode as a character, like her fight, her will, what she put up with, just how would you rank her as a final girl?
So Jamie Lee Curtis, first of all, is the queen. Like I love
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis. She played Laurie Strode. Besides H2, Halloween 2, I didn't really like her in that one.
Hmm. She had a great
The
chase scene in that one, though. It was
Yeah,
a
the,
good
the
chase scene.
character, not Jamie. I
Yeah.
love Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say Laurie Strode is in my top three. Possibly she's part one. Possibly she's number one. I just really love Sydney Prescott a lot. Just
Yeah.
because she's like she don't take shit from nobody.
Yeah.
And like she shoots in the head, which I fucking
Yeah.
love. Um, and I recently, like, I had up until like the last 6 months, I had only seen part one and two of Scream. I didn't see
Okay.
the rest of them.
Oh wow. Okay.
And it was only leading up to the release of, so this must have been last year, the release of the five cream or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
Leading up to that, the release of that, I saw all the rest of the Halloween. I'm sorry, of the Screams. I was like, yo, she's a legit final girl. So she's a contender for the final girl. I like her, and there's somebody else that I can't remember right now. But yeah, from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Although
Nancy.
Sydney, no, Nancy, I'm sorry, Nancy.
Mhm.
Like in part one, she like totally Home Alone that before Home Alone. Like
Yeah.
I love that. And then unfortunately, R.I.P. and Dream Warriors and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely in top three. And I go back and forth between who's my favorite. But she's there more often than not. I just didn't like her portrayal. No, her characterization in part two, because she was completely opposite. In part one, she was like actively fighting against him and all that sort of stuff. In part two, she was locked up in the, or not
The
locked up, but she
hospital.
was in the hospital the whole time in a bed. And it's like, you got to let my girl out. That's also another reason why I had some problems with Halloween Kills,
Okay.
because they kind of like end
Followed
her
that
up in the
same.
hospital. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, like it wasn't good in H2. It's not that good here. Like I want to, part of the reason that I love Halloween, a major reason I love Halloween is Jamie Lee Curtis, so let my
Yeah.
girl live.
Yeah. I agree with you. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. Every time somebody, because everybody knows I'm a Halloween fan, so people just automatically assume that Jamie Lee Curtis is my favorite screen queen, Laurie Strode. But I always go back and forth between her and Sydney.
Mhm.
And again, like you said, Sydney, she just yes, the first movie is kind of similar to Halloween, where it's like she don't know what's going on. This is all new to her. But then every movie after that, she's just like, "Bitch, I'm here. Where's my Glock? Like, what's up?" And I appreciate that with Sydney, and she put up with a lot more stuff. And another reason too, I think Sydney had because Sydney was in every single movie. Laurie wasn't. Um,
Exactly, yeah.
so Nev Campbell had a lot more to work with, opposed to Jamie Lee Curtis, where Jamie Lee Curtis was in the first two movies, and then it was a huge gap, and then we bring her back for H2O, which for me was the perfect ending to Michael and her storyline after
Yeah,
she decapitated him. Like, and that right there showed why I think at that moment, while Laurie Strode was not to be fucked with. Because instead of running away from Michael Myers at that moment in H2O, she went looking for him with the X. Yeah, she was running from him in certain moments in there because she didn't have a weapon, but she
yeah,
still went back after him. And then when she realized that he wasn't actually dead, um, or when she thought he was dead, she's like, let me get this ambulance car real quick. Load him up. I'm gonna take him out. And she
yeah,
did that, and that whole situation happened. And what she fucking do? She chops his fucking head off. And then we get that iconic score with her just breathing with the X, and then it just ends. Chef's kiss. Like
yeah.
right there, I think that's when she became, you know what? That's it right there for me. But then we get more Scream movies, and then Sydney comes back, and I'm just like, oh. So it's a struggle. So I'm curious to see how Laurie ends up in Halloween Ends. Being as though this is the final battle, I feel like it needs because they played us with 2018. 2018 was supposed to be a huge battle, but the battle between Michael and her was very brief
Yeah.
in 2018, and I didn't really care for it too much. And I know it was longer, but they had to do reshoots because they didn't test well with the audience for early screenings, so they had to reshoot it. So I'm hoping in Halloween Ends we get a dope battle between those two, and it's something to be talked about for years.
But, like, we gotta remember that, like, when we're talking about final girls, like, there's also, like, Sarah wow, Sarah Connor in The Terminator, because
Oh
I feel
yeah,
like The Terminator is a slasher film.
oh
Like,
yeah,
it's a
100%.
horror
I
film.
I hate when people say it's not. It is. It
Yeah, and it's a
is.
great one at that. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And then you also got, like, Ripley in Alien and Aliens, like, she's a final girl too, you know? So it's just difficult, like, I think Ripley is like the dopest final girl. Like she's as far as like skills and survival, like she's number one, right? But when it comes to
100%.
like
Yeah.
my favorite, like Laurie Strode is still
Yeah.
high up there. And
Yeah.
another one I was gonna say, I don't know her name, so I guess she's not that famous or whatever. But in You're Next,
Oh, is it I forgot her name, but I know exactly who you're talking about. Her character name is Erin, I think, but I forgot the actress's name. But I know
okay,
who you're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
yeah, I think you're right there. Like
Yeah.
she's dope too, you know? Like she's
Yeah.
got all these survival skills and all that shit. So
Hmm.
there's so many like strong women, like final girls that like it's hard to choose. But my own personal feeling is like, yeah, like Laurie Strode is up there.
Yes. I agree with you. Laurie will always be. I think she will always be up there. And yes, I'm being biased because I love this movie.
Yes,
So
exactly. Yeah,
it is what it is.
deal with it.
Right. All right. So before we go, rating. How many?
I mean,
You just like, come
what are we
on,
doing here?
right? So
No,
5. We want to just
out
do
of
5 out of 5.
what are we doing out of so 5 stars out of
5 star.
5 pumpkins?
5 pumpkins. Let's do 5 pumpkins because
Okay.
that's usually a theme on my channel anyway. Like when I rate horror movies, I give it it's like a big pumpkin comes in the middle of the screen, and I give it like whatever rating I
Yeah.
want or whatever. So a horror head watch, that's what I call it. I give it a horror head watch. And
Okay.
obviously we give Halloween a horror head watch because we wouldn't be talking about this movie here if we didn't really care to, review it. So
Right.
are
Yeah,
we
I mean, it's a 5. It's 5. I mean, if I would give it like 6 or 6 out of 5.
okay.
It's
Okay.
just it's top shelf horror. Like, there's a reason why the movie continues to like get fans, and it's you know, everybody
Yeah,
talks about it. It's because it's so good.
yeah,
And yeah, it's 5 stars for me, man, all the way. Like, in every aspect, there's what's wrong? What can you say about this movie? Like,
right.
sure, even if you're not scared, like, not every you don't need to be terrified or scared at every movie. Like, movies can be like suspenseful and like have great acting, and like, it's yeah,
Yeah,
I can't find anything wrong with this movie at all. Like, even if I tried, five
yeah,
stars.
yeah. Same here, 5 stars. I mean, like you said, who we kidding? And everybody should know, like, I'm always going to give this movie so much fucking love
You
because
knew what it
it's so
was when
good.
you signed up.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the TV cut. So we could
All
talk
right.
about that real quick. So the TV cut of this film is only three main scenes. One of the scenes is when Dr. Loomis is talking to other doctors about keeping Michael well, taking Michael out of this facility that he's in because he's saying that he's too dangerous, where the doctors want to keep him in there. So they trying to give Dr. Loomis an ultimatum, like, oh, well, you can not be his doctor if you don't want to. And Dr. Loomis is like, you know what, I'll be the doctor. So this is this back and forthness of if they're going to keep Michael in or take him out. So then Dr. Loomis go to Michael's room, and this is like a preteen Michael, I guess. He's like not like a little boy like how he was in the opening of this film, but he
Right.
looks a little bit older, but he's not quite an adult. So I'm assuming he's like 12 or 13 or something. Um, and he's staring at Michael, and Michael's just staring at the window, and Dr. Loomis is like, you know what the fuck you doing? You think you got him all fooled.
Yeah.
um, and I think that's really it. It was just like a quick scene with that. And then the second one is when Michael, I guess, escapes when he's 21 years old, and Dr. Loomis goes back to the room, and everything is destroyed and messed up. And Dr. Loomis asking like how the hell, like what's going on, like how the hell he escaped. And when the nurse shows Dr. Loomis what was behind the door, it says sister
Mhm.
in red marker or crayon or whatever. Um, and that again, like I said earlier, I think that part confused me because I wasn't too sure if this was the sister storyline between Laurie and Michael just yet. Because I thought that part came in Halloween 2, but it makes sense when they had to go back and do reshoots and stuff to fit inserts for the TV version.
Yeah.
So I guess it made sense. And then the one was we get Linda, Laurie looked like she just got out the shower, and Linda comes running into the house and saying, shut the door. And some guy's following me. And this is where I'm talking. I made a reference earlier when I said Michael's just not stalking Laurie. He's obviously stalking her friends too, because
Yeah.
Linda's like, this guy is following me. And they think it's the same guy as in the station wagon, which it was. Michael was in the station wagon. Um, so then they go from that, and then it goes into Linda wanting to borrow a damn blouse from Laurie, and Laurie's like, "Girl, whatever." And then Annie calls, and they have like a little more character development between the girls at
Yeah.
this point here.
So the blouse she borrows later on in the movie, she says, "Don't rip my
Blouse,
blouse."
it's expensive, idiot.
Yeah.
It's not your
So
blouse.
but I love that. So these reshoots, they happen because they sold the rights to NBC to show it on TV, but they needed 2 hour runtime, and so they needed to go back and shoot some more stuff, and obviously take out some like nudity and stuff like that. And so, what I thought was funny is they were shooting it concurrently with H2, with Halloween
Mm.
2, and so that scene that you were just talking about with Laurie and Linda in her room, Laurie her has a towel over her head
Oh
because she just came
yes,
out of the shower. But really, it's because she had cut her hair for
hair.
Trading Places, and the
Hmm.
wig was atrocious in Halloween 2. And
Woo!
so they put her in the towel, which I
Yeah.
wish they would have done for all of it for Halloween 2, because
Listen,
boy, that wig, woo.
that wig was sitting high. That man was sitting high.
Yes, it was,
Very.
and I am so jealous of anybody that you're gonna talk Halloween 2 with. They're gonna be able to talk about that fucking wig because goddamn, yeah. But so yeah, I just some of these scenes were like they were cool, not necessary, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um, the the one thing that I thought was kind of cool was in the beginning when Michael was still a child, um, and he kills Judith. Right, we see he's got the clown mask on, but there's nudity in the original cut. For the
Mhm.
TV cut, they made the hole smaller in the clown mask, so
Oh,
you couldn't see that nudity. So I thought that was really a
I
really
didn't even pick up on that. Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
it was really clever way to do some censor. It's still censoring, but you know, it was a
Yeah.
clever way to do it. You know, yeah,
Okay.
the TV cut doesn't really add a lot to it, in my opinion. The only thing I do like the scene with Linda and Laurie on Annie Calls because if you
Yeah.
think about it, in the original cut, the only time they're together is when they're walking home from school. The rest of the time, it's either Linda, Laurie, and Annie, or they're talking on the phone, but they're never all three of them together
Right.
talking at the same time. So I do like that part of it.
Yeah. Same here. I enjoyed it. Like the first part about like transferring him, out the facility or keeping him in is just like, all right, nah, whatever. I didn't mind the escaping part, but with the sister behind the door, I'm just like, okay. mm, I see what they tried to do, but like you said, the conversation between Linda, Annie, and Lori, like they could have kept that in. I think it would have been fine. And then we get more of that song that Lori sings. She sings that song that's makes a reprise as an actual song in 2018, which is interesting.
I wish I had you all alone.
Yeah, just the two
Just
of
the two of
us.
us. Yeah.
Yes, and it's an actual song in 2018. If you listen closely, it's playing in a truck with the man and the boy.
Yo, I did
Um,
not realize that. I need to watch that again then.
when you
Uh,
watch it, it's an
yeah.
actual song. It's the same lyrics that Laurie's singing, and then when the credits is rolling, they play it like as it's going down at the very like right before the movie goes off completely. They play the whole song again.
Okay,
Yeah.
I need
So.
to watch it over. You're giving me
hmm
some new shit. That's what I love. There's always new shit to watch. All right, cool.
Yeah, I was because when I was in the theater, I was just like, "This sounds familiar," and I was like, "Ah, they think you're slick." That's the same song. That I said, "That's an awesome like nod to like the OG right there that they did." So
Yeah, and I like
yeah,
in 2018 they also had the same hat that was in her room.
hmm
It was on their wall. She
on
had
the
it
wall.
as well. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just great
exactly.
continuation. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you could tell fans had a lot of love for the movie,
yeah,
but and they only fans would get that. Only fans would see shit like that.
yeah,
Casual people that's watching the movie, they're not going to notice that stuff, but we do.
yeah.
So it's you just can't help it. We're huge fans. But yeah, the TV cut didn't really add too much to it. It was just there, like you said, to fill in that time for TV, and that's really it. But I'm happy that it's available for everybody to see. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on the extras if you have the Blu-ray. So
Mhm.
it's there, people. Um, and that's it. We give the movie a 5. That's our review and our discussion on Halloween. We gushed all over this damn film, and
Yeah.
I'm happy that you were here to talk about this movie with me because again, the passion came out, and I get so excited talking about this.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Bobby, for having me on. I really appreciate it. I know when you came on my show, we talked about doing this, and now it's actually happened, and I'm just ecstatic. Thank you so much.
Of course, and I'm obviously going to have more of you on the show. Like this is nothing, and I'm gonna keep having you on because you're my friend. So of course you're invited to come on whenever you want to. Just let me
Thank
know.
you,
Or if
and
I have
I'd
any more
love
ideas, I'll just shoot it your way.
thank you, and I'd love to have you back on.
Of course, I'll be
Uh,
happy to
hell
because the
yeah.
Changeland was a trip.
Yo, we had a
Um,
blast talking
we
about the
had so
changing.
much
That was
fun.
yeah,
I love that. And now, like again, I never seen that movie before, so like now when I watch it, if I see it like randomly on Shutter or something, I just sit there and watch it in full, and I go and I think about our conversation. So
yeah,
yeah, it's so much fun.
cool.
Um, but yeah, this ends day one of the countdown to Halloween ends. I will say I'm happy to have Miguel here as the first guest to talk about the OG classic here made by John Carpenter. And yeah, tomorrow, I'm about to say next week, but I guess tomorrow I'm having another guest. I'm not going to reveal, he's just going to pop right up. And yes, you got a clue right there as a he, I guess. But yeah, happy spooky season, everybody. Before we go, Miguel, would you like to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, thank you. So again, once thank you for having me on. I had a
Of
blast.
course.
I have a podcast called My Horror Confessional. I release episodes every Friday. What I do is I have one guest come on and talk about a classic horror movie that they haven't seen and why, and we kind of just get into it. So Bobby hadn't seen The Changeling, so he obviously saw it for the show. Then he came on and we talked about it, and we just kind of go beat by beat and just have a blast. My season 2 was actually with my friend Anthony Jerome, and we did my 70s confessional because he said he hated the 70s and I couldn't let that abide.
I know that's
So
right.
we did 10 episodes, one movie each year, like 71, 72, blah 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 blah. And so that ended about a month or so ago, and so now I'm back on season 3. So yeah, if you could follow me on Twitter, I'm at MHC Pod, like My Horror Confessional. You can follow me on Instagram at My Horror Confessional. If you want to email me or the show, you can email me at myhorrorconfessional@gmail.com. And I do have a Patreon where we release the episodes early and a bunch of other bonus content, including a new show we just launched called My 2K Confessional, where Anthony is walking me through the early and mid 2000s that I tend to
Yes.
hate because of torture porn and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But what I
Woo.
did for him in the 70s, he's trying to do for me for the 2000s, and
Okay.
that's on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/my horror confessional. The first 6 months, all of my proceeds or all of the what are they called, pledges that go to Patreon, I'm donating to women's organizations that are helping women get access to abortions, because abortion is healthcare, and
Yeah.
people should not be telling women what to do with their bodies. So for the first 6 months, we've been doing that. We've been doing it already for 4 months, and we have 2 more months to go. So that's me.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
No, of course. That's great. Wow, that's really, really dope. I wish more people start doing that. That's really, really dope.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean it's ridiculous, and I live in Texas, so it's like feels
Yeah.
oppressive.
Oh, of course.
So my wife and I were trying to think of something that we can do, and I just launched the Patreon, and I was like, yeah, that's I don't need this money, like I'm not. So I was like, let's do something with it. Let's donate it. So
I love that. Oh, you got such a good heart. I love it.
thank
You're such a
thank you,
great guy.
thank you very much.
Yes, you can find Miguel all the platforms and the handles and stuff there. I'm gonna put it in the description, everything there. So if you couldn't keep up with Miguel was saying, it'll be down there. But I'm sure you'll be able to keep up with him because I did. So I'll put it there just in case if it's easy for you to just copy and paste and just put in a link somewhere. Again, thank you again so much, Miguel. We're going to talk about the future of Halloween movies very, very soon. But we just have to see what happens with Halloween ends. But thank you again for coming on, and thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're new, and show Miguel some love, show me some love, and I'll see you next time. Bye.